So within the landscape of museums, the Courage Museum is definitely unique, if not arguably singular. And I say that as somebody who has gone to like every museum in every city that I've been to, both traveling and for business. And I do it for a living. I live it, I breathe it, etc. Museums are typically about stuff. We have this collection. This collection's on a topic. Some museums, contemporary museums, aren't so much about stuff as about ideas, right? So the stuff is like every art museum, most history museums, they all have physical collateral. Some get into ideas. This is the museum of the future. This is the museum of AI. But there's still about a topic, right? You go there to be absorbed and surrounded by an idea. Courage Museum, frankly, in my mind, and I would say this to anyone talking about the project, it's the first museum that's about people and specifically about the audience. This is frankly a shift in evolution within museums that's been going on for generations. It just hasn't quite fulfilled itself until you get an institution like the Courage Museum. Meaning, there's a famous essay in the world of museums called Moving from Being About Things to Being About People. Came out in the 70s. And it was really about the idea that we need to consider our audience. It's written by a fellow who's doing scholarship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Fast forward 2 generations later, you get the Courage Museum. What's the Courage Museum about? It's about the people moving through the museum itself, right? It's not just a place that gathers together these stories around violence, as well as around inspirational ways in which people can act on that violence, change that violence, and literally change the world itself. It's about the people who are going through and how to support them and how they can understand how to make the changes themselves. And again, that's singular. No institution that I know of has made that jump so far as to say, all of this, the entire museum is a means to an end for the visitor. If you go to the Met Museum, or if you go to the Smithsonian, there's a good chance, in fact, the Smithsonian will start shutting its doors for big chunks of time. Those institutions will still have an enormous amount to do just to take care of the collection, just to be stewards of that narrative, right? Just to hold on to the physical collateral that stands in for the history of African Americans in this country, or the history of rocketry and the Air and Space Museum, et cetera, et cetera. The Courage Museum, if you close its doors, at least in my mind, doesn't have a collection, right? It doesn't have physical things it needs to caretake. It's literally just a platform for you, for literally you, well, you and your family, or you and your class, to come in and be surrounded by stories and activities and interactives that unlock ways of thinking for your own behavior that's really, really different, that's new, that allows you to see both the world in terms of the violence that's latent inside of it, but also the actions that you can take to change that world. And that's what's really special, and again, singular about the Courage Museum is it's sort of leapfrogged over every other institution that said, well, we have a collection, oh, what's our story? How does our story impact on people? We started at the end. We said, what is the change we want to unlock in people? We need them to have courage in order to change the world and to really face and extract the violence from the world. And then we worked backwards and created an entire visitor experience that catalyzes that inside of each and every visitor.